Hello everyone, today is 27th of January, Monday. Now it's 10 past 9 in the morning Moscow time. I'm Levan Gudadze and this is my first update for the day in which I will share all the main news that are making headlines in Russian media outlets and Russian language pages on different internet platforms. Later on today, at evening time, I will publish second news update on my Patreon and Boost pages. And if you are looking for more news from Russia, more commentary, or if you like my work and want to support her, I hope you will consider to become a Patreon for this project and to join our communities on Patreon or Boost. The links are on this video in description box and in the pinned comment. That's been said, let's talk about news now. And first of all, of course, breaking news sort of for this moment, although news itself became known yesterday. And so, well, Russian armed forces established full control over the Velikaya Novoselka settlement in South Donetsk sector of the front line. In yesterday's first update, I mentioned significant progress of the Russian armed forces in Velikaya Novoselka area, and towards late afternoon, towards evening, Russian media reported that Defense Ministry is actually confirming that Velikaya Novoselka settlement is under full Russian control and liberated. And meanwhile, by the way, obviously attention of the public media was focused on Velikaya Novoselka, but Russian armed forces achieved significant progress in other areas also. And for example, Russian troops established control over the Novoandreevka settlement, over Novoelizavetovka settlement, Nadievka settlement. This is in between Kurakhova and Pokrovsk, and on Pokrovsk direction on southern side of Pokrovsk, clearing operation has been finished in Zelyanaya settlement, and this village is under full Russian control also. So definitely significant progress. Many members of our community were asking questions: what happened to Kiev regime's garrison in Velikaya Novoselka settlement? Well, we have reported that significant number of Kiev regime troops laid down arms and surrendered, but not all. Unfortunately, some units of the Kiev regime's garrison in Velikaya Novoselka try to fight to the end. At some point, I guess panic settled in garrison of Kiev regime, and Ukrainian troops start running away in chaotic manner, and the internet is full of videos, especially Telegram channels, by the way, are full of videos of destruction of these units that were trying to escape from encirclement from Velikaya Novoselka through river, Sukhi Yaly river is there, through some other ways, but they were encircled, right? They don't really had much chances. It would be better for them if they just try to contact Russian side and organize safe surrender. According to some sources, Kiev regime suffered immense losses in Velikaya Novoselka area, which was absolutely unnecessary. Even a week ago, 2 weeks ago, it was clear that Kiev regime would not be able to maintain its presence in Velikaya Novoselka area, and they should withdraw troops. But I guess Zelensky and his criminal associates, their Western masters, NATO generals that are supervising Kiev regime's military operations, they decided to sacrifice garrison in Velikaya Novoselka to slow down Russian progress for several days. And well, people in Kiev controlled territory should think, should think and start acting really, because why are they allowing this tragedy to continue? I just don't get it. But hopefully more and more people will realize that they've been sacrificed and will rebel eventually. If they are already forcefully mobilized and sent to a front line, they should straight away, in the first opportunity, contact Russian side and organize surrender. And on Kiev controlled territory itself, they should start acting tough against regime and all the representatives of regime. they are enemies of the residents of this former Soviet republic. So big developments on the line of contact. Now it is becoming obvious that Russian armed forces probably will try to create a massive cauldron in Andreevka and around Andreevka stronghold of the Kiev regime, and we already have some indicators that Russian troops probably from Velikaya Novoselka area will move northwards, and there are simultaneously Russian troops from Novoandreevka, Nadjevka areas will move south, and they will meet at some point, I guess, around Novoukrainka, Zelený Kut, Alexeyevka area, and I don't know, 10, 20,000 Kiev regime troops will end up in yet another cauldron here. And they have chances, by the way, until Russian troops reach their positions, they have chances to contact Russian forces and organize surrender. They don't have to die for Zelensky's Nazi terrorist regime, and they definitely don't have to die for geopolitical agenda of the Western ruling class. Meanwhile, dear friends, we have RIA Novosti's report that 32 drones were intercepted over the 5 Russian regions overnight and the early hours of this morning. Unfortunately, these long-range strikes continue, and well, as it was said many times before, flight path and targeting data for these long-range strikes are provided by NATO countries, US and UK, first of all. I really hope Washington will make up its mind and will no longer provide Kiev regime with their intelligence information, so that there will be no more these long-range strikes on Russia. Obviously, Russian media is reporting about liberation of Velikaya Novoselka. Also, TASS news agencies report here that significant number of troops of Kiev regime in Velikaya Novoselka from 110th Mechanized Brigade lay down arms and surrender. Although there is also massive casualties on part of this very same brigade. Some units, for whatever reason, decided to fight to the end and to escape, while they knew perfectly well, or they should know, that they are encircled and they would not make it. But you know, RT is also reporting that US officials are pushing to unfreeze their aid for Ukraine, according to article in Financial Times. Several US diplomats have urged State Department to make an exception for Ukraine-related programs after President Donald Trump ordered a sweeping suspension on foreign aid. The Financial Times reported on Saturday Trump's order potentially jeopardizes support for Ukrainian schools, hospitals, and infrastructure development. All through military aid remains intact, according to their newspaper. And by the way, what schools and what infrastructure? Are you kidding me? This is all a money laundering scheme, by the way. Did you see videos from even Kiev? What is happening with the infrastructure of the city? Does it look like even single penny was spent to maintain that infrastructure or to build something new? No. It's a money laundering scheme, and US taxpayers being, robbed by their own so-called elites. And same can be said about EU taxpayers, right? EU member states taxpayers. They just been robbed for billions and billions and billions. That's all it is. But yes, military aid, we are getting little more clearance, by the way, on this decree of Trump to suspend foreign aid for 90 days. It seems like aid that was going formally to Kiev regime through State Department is suspended, but aid that was going to Kiev regime through Pentagon is still in force. So I guess we should not expect that US will stop sending tens or hundreds or thousands of weapon systems to Kiev regime anytime soon. And but by the way, as many military experts are acknowledging, main issue for Kiev regime at this point is not the weapons. Main issue is manpower. And on the paper, Kiev regime might have some 500,000 army or 700,000 army. Zelensky, during the Davos summit of World Economic Forum, during one of the interviews, spoke about million army that he wants to build, and EU should pay for that. But this is all on paper, dear friends. Kiev regime formally still has, I guess, about 400,000 military personnel, right? But take a look at the front line. It's over 1,000 kilometers, right? Over 1,000 kilometers, and this 300,000 to 400,000 poorly trained, forcefully mobilized troops definitely are not enough to stop Russian advances, right? It's just simply not enough. And the only way Kiev regime can further increase number of forcefully mobilized people is to lower the draft age to 18. And unfortunately, that's exactly what Kiev regime is going to do. But yet again, very same day that Kiev regime will start drafting younger generation people, I guess many residents on Kiev-controlled territory will finally realize that, well, it is time. It is time to wake up and do something, because generations being sacrificed, right, in this former Soviet Republic. And for what? For what? For Zelensky to become even richer and his associates to become ever more richer, or Western ruling class to brag about that they managed to deal some damage to Russia? For what these people, for what these generations are getting sacrificed? So, according to some reports, Zelensky himself is ready to lower the draft age. But I guess his advisors are telling him that, the day you do this, people might start to rebel. And probably this is the reason, true reason, why Zelensky and his criminal associates did not yet start forcefully mobilizing 18, 19-year-old kids. So main issue for Kiev regime is their manpower, not necessarily the military equipment. Although, unfortunately, US and other NATO member states still continue to send in thousands of pieces of military equipment, munition, money, which obviously prolongs suffering of the people, prolongs this proxy war that Western ruling class already lost. They just don't want to acknowledge this. Also, by the way, as I already said, Russian media is reporting, based on Defense Ministry's update, that settlement Zelyonaya was liberated. Also, Zelyonaya is on southern side of Pokrovsk. Also, RIA Novosti report an update from Defense Ministry about losses of Kiev regime in the Kursk salient area, and they're currently, according to Defense Ministry, number stands on 55,000. So since the beginning of invasion into Kursk, borderline area of the Kursk region, in Suja district, Kiev regime and NATO mercenaries lost more than 55,000 military personnel. Also, 319 tanks, 238 infantry fighting vehicles, 183 armored personnel carriers, over 1,600 different type of other armored vehicles, over 1,600 motor vehicles that are used by militaries, transformed to be used by militaries, almost 400 artillery systems, 44 multi-launch rocket systems, including 13 HIMARS, 16 launchers for air defense systems, and dozens and dozens of other weapon systems. As I said many times before, entire army of most capable brigades that Kiev regime had in reserves have been decimated in the Kursk salient area. And it all depends on plans of Russian general staff. I can understand that it does make sense in some ways to allow Kiev regime's forces to maintain their presence in this Suja area for time being, because as long as they are present in Suja area, Kiev regime is forced to keep some 15, 20, up to 30,000 reserve force in the Sumy region too, right? According to latest reports that I see, at this point, Kiev regime might have in the Suja district about 10 to 12,000 military personnel, and about 20,000 is in reserve in the Sumy region. So it's a 35,000 strong, right? A grouping of forces that could be deployed on other more crucial, at this point currently, on more crucial areas of the line of contact. But Kiev regime cannot do this because of their presence in the Kursk salient area, right? So therefore, I can see why Russian Defense Ministry might take time before they will force out this invading force completely. But if a final decision is made to clear Suja district from invaders, I guess it will take just 3 to 5 weeks, and that's about it. There will be no more invading force there. Meanwhile, by the way, British Times media outlet is reporting about 4 potential scenarios how this crisis can be resolved, and let's go through this news in little more detail, because seems like at least some groups among Western elites that are authorizing such articles are beginning to realize that longer they prolong this conflict, more damage will be done to them also, to their interests, right? So publication The Times has named the 4 main scenarios that could lead to the end of conflict in Ukraine. The first scenario assumes the defeat of Kiev regime as a result of Russia's refusal to negotiate and depriving Ukraine of support from United States. This scenario is called the worst by outlet. However, according to the newspaper, Donald Trump will strive to avoid such a catastrophic outcome. Why it's a catastrophic outcome? This war is not Trump's war, right? This war is not a war of groups that are behind Trump, one may argue. So Trump shouldn't sign in, really. He can always say, you know what, I'm gonna end this mess that was started by some other groups. I have nothing to do with it. There is no US interest in it, right? Longer this conflict continues, stronger China is becoming, because it weakens NATO, it weakens us, US, but it makes stronger China, and China is the main competitor. So therefore, based on US interests, I'm gonna end this proxy war against Russia. That's what Trump should say, because there is no US or no Western true interests in this conflict. It's just these psychos, by the way, among Western ruling class that hate Russia so much so that they decided that, you know what, we're gonna start this proxy war now. And then, what they were hoping for, that they will conduct regime change in Russia and rob Russia of everything, or what? Psychos, by the way, I'm telling you. So it's not gonna be catastrophic for Trump, and I don't think Trump's supporters in US will care very much about what will happen to this former Soviet Republic, Ukraine. They don't care, right? And Trump's main support based, as far as I understand, to be focused on US and US and the issues that US is facing, right? Domestically, first of all. Second scenario, called better world, involves the defeat of Ukraine and its subsequent division. In this case, there can be no question of any Nobel Prize for Trump, as the publication notes. Well, I mean, really, does Trump cares that much about Nobel Peace Prize? What the hell, man? Third scenario implies a ceasefire, but only within the framework of the final settlement of the conflict and its completion. Such scenario will allow Ukraine to survive. However, as a Trump's entourage noticed, a simple truth without a final agreement can only freeze the conflict, which is totally unacceptable for Russia, obviously. The fourth scenario involves a negotiated settlement of the conflict. To do this, according to the Times, United States should provide Kiev with the opportunity to negotiate from a position of strength and guarantee security. If Russia refuses the deal, Trump should support Ukraine with weapons and finances, and Moscow should announce and with more sanctions on Russia. Publication believes so. I mean, this third and fourth scenarios, total nonsense, right? US can send all weapons it has, literally. I mean, US can send all its weapons, all tanks, all infantry fighting vehicles, all armored personnel carriers, everything, all planes, all helicopters, entire navy, by the way. Although Turkey will not let her navy into Black Sea, but anyways, I mean, US can send it to Baltics, right? In that little lake. And what that will change? Who gonna operate with these weapons, by the way? Kiev regime is struggling with the manpower now, right? So no matter how much weapons, how many more tanks or infantry fighting vehicles you're gonna send it, Kiev regime has no staff to operate with those systems, right? Morale among these forcefully mobilized people is as low as it can get, right? And some experts are expecting that, collapse of Kiev regime forces might happen at any time. This constant increase of pressure, increased fatigue, will do its job eventually, and Kiev regime's forces will just crumble. It's inevitable, right? It's only a matter of how much pressure is applied and how long it will take to, crush the enemy force, right? So third and fourth scenario, total nonsense. When it comes to first and second scenarios, well, Russia already defeated Western ruling class, right, in this proxy war against Russia. West has to recognize this. That's it, really. There's not much to talk. And when it comes to disintegration of Ukraine, well, it is interesting that Times is coming up with such a scenario now, when I was saying that once this conflict will end, Ukraine will undergo full-scale disintegration. I was saying this for how many years now? From the beginning, isn't it? So yeah, they should go and check my videos, by the way. These journalists from Times, they might learn something, because probably they think, oh, how clever we are, look, we come up with these scenarios. So, but still, by the way, it is interesting that one of the main propaganda outlets of the West is now openly discussing possibility that Kiev regime will just simply lose, which means that Western ruling class will acknowledge that they lost this proxy war, right? Times might use different words, but that's what it is. No surprises for our community there. RIA Novosti is also reporting that meanwhile British militaries are stating that they are ready to arrest Russian vessels. Okay, let's go through this news also, by the way. I mean, this is you know, someone had to make some reality check, by the way, to leadership of British military, because seems like they don't really understand real strength of Russia, and they don't really understand their own weaknesses. So the British military is ready to detain Russian ships off the coast of Britain. The Express newspaper reports, citing sources, earlier British Defence Minister John Healey, speaking in House of Commons of British Parliament, announced their sending of a submarine to spy on Russian oceanographic vessel Yantar in the English Channel. Haley described the research vessel Yantar as a spy ship that is allegedly being used to gather intelligence and map Britain's critical underwater infrastructure. The Russian embassy in London said that their accusations of Russia's alleged espionage in the English Channel by the United Kingdom are fictitious, a pretext for building up naval and air force of NATO countries in the Baltic and the North Sea regions. The British military operational deployment forces are ready to land on Russian vessels off the coast of and detain them if there is evidence that they are damaging underwater pipelines and the cables. Their publication said, according to sources, the British High Alert Task Force is ready to detain any vessel allegedly performing suspicious actions near the UK's underwater infrastructure. But, of course, a political decision at the highest level will be required, and such measures will probably be taken with the consideration of each case separately. The publication quotes one of their sources as saying, however, newspaper notes, we are talking about retaliatory measures in the worst case of scenario. Okay. Let's be clear, by the way, if anything happens between Russia and UK's fleet, UK's armed forces will be destroyed in a matter of months, maybe, right? Let's be clear on that. UK's Navy, UK's armed forces, UK's Air Force, entire UK military will be decimated in about a month. And I'm too generous by giving a month, I guess, because UK's ground forces, by the way, I mean, if London decides to send its ground forces, let's say, to Ukrainian battlefield, all of it, I don't know how many troops they have, like 50,000 ground troops, 60,000, whatever. How long they gonna stand the ground? I mean, how long they gonna survive? Probably many members of British troops, by the way, will commit suicide even before they will see first Russian soldier. Once they will end up under artillery barrage, real artillery barrage, by the way, right? That might be enough to break psychologically thousands of British troops, because they never ever have seen anything like that, right? They are not ready for real battle, by the way. They are simply not ready. They might be very stronger in terms of morale, and they might want to fight. I'm not saying that they are cowards or anything, no, but they are just not prepared for high intensity battle. Maybe some special forces, yes, SAS and so on, but ordinary units, come on, man. When last time they fought real high intensity battle? Never, right? UK don't have even single officer who knows what high intensity battle is. So what we are talking about, when it comes to UK Navy, it's a laughing stock, isn't it? It's a total laughing stock, by the way. I don't even want to talk about it, man. It's garbage, right? Extremely expensive garbage, that's all it is. Take a look at the latest 2 aircraft carriers, by the way. They are never operational. By the way. right? It's I don't know. It seems like to build those, someone make a huge buck, huge money by building those garbage vessels, right? And when it comes to UK Air Force, okay, it might have some potential, right? UK is operating with a number of F-35s from aircraft carriers, and as a strike plane, as a ground attack plane, F-35 can do something, you know. I don't have a high evaluation for F-35s. I think it was a scam on part of Lockheed Martin. That's who built, isn't it? F-35, Lockheed Martin. Let me check, by the way. I think it was a scam, and it is still a scam. Who is Lockheed Martin? Yes, it's a Lockheed's product, and they scam US for 1.5 trillion, isn't it? By developing this garbage plane, F-35, and on maintenance, they are receiving even more money. Just for maintenance, by the way, according to some reports that I see, they will make double of money because they over-engineered this piece of garbage so much so that there were instances when pilots were crashing and dying because there is too much has been put in the plane. And there is always high, chance that something will stop working, and as a result, plane crash, right? And who cares about plane? Pilots are dying. And there was already such instances, right? So those F-35s that UK has, okay, somewhat capable, but nothing extraordinary. Typhoons, Eurofighters that UK has are okay, also quite capable, fourth generation fighters on the level of Su-35, I will say. But yet again, what they gonna do, man? What they gonna do, right? Russian pilots in general have much more experience than British pilots ever had, right? Since the Second World War, let's say, or let's say since the Falkland Wars, right? During the Falkland Wars, yes, British pilots clearly demonstrate their capabilities, no doubts about that. But so many years passed since then, right? So British Air Force, somewhat capable one, but yet again, they never dealt, for example, with their same level opponents in air, and they definitely never deal with the multi-layer air defense system that Russia has. So they have no idea they're up against what, So therefore, this defense secretary of UK can brag about whatever he wants, but he should be quiet, man. Just don't embarrass your country. Shut your filthy mouth and be quiet. Right? That's best decision that UK officials can make. Really, all of them, from Stammer to this defense secretary and to rest of the idiots, man, that formally are in charge of UK and embarrassing country worldwide. Right? Every time they open mouth, they are embarrassing UK. That's what's happening. And if they're there to really send their troops against Russian vessels, then wow, they're gonna find out, that was a big mistake very shortly. Anyways, let's continue. Interfax is reporting that, there are reports, by the way, that yet another communication cable that was connecting Sweden with Latvia was damaged, according to Western propaganda. First, Finnish Yle media outlet or TV channel reported about it. Reports are that some vessel was even noticed in that area, vessel that was not under Russian flag, by the way, under flag of some country, but was moving to Russia. And initially there was suspension that that vessel may snap the cable, but then Latvian authorities said that that vessel has nothing to do. It's total mess, by the way. How come that there was nothing was happening to these underwater cables for years and years, and now every week something is happening? What is going on? Really? Just what is going on, man? If Russia wants to take out underwater communications network of the NATO, I mean, Russia can do it, at once, right? All these reports don't make any sense, right? Today, one cable is snapped, week after week, another one. So this one is restored, then another one snapped, and then after a week, another one. It does not make no sense, right? And I was correct. I believe I was correct from the beginning when I said that this is all false flag operations, by the way, and this false flag is used to just increase our NATO military presence on Baltics. Although, what they gonna do, man? They already are in Baltics, right? So they will, if vessels are docked at the bay, those vessels will spend little more time in a sea, and that's about it, right? What they gonna do? They're gonna ask US to send aircraft carrier into Baltics. Why, for God's sake? To be sitting duck in that, So this is false flag. This is clearly false flag. I don't believe that any cable was damaged, by the way, or if was damaged, most likely it's NATO secret services, NATO member state secret services. Maybe US is behind it, maybe UK or Poland, by the way. One should always keep in mind that these Baltic states, Lithuania, Latvia, Estonia, and Poland, they are ruled by extreme Russophobes. And they would love to see war between NATO and Russia, because they know on their own they cannot do nothing, right, against Russia, but they hate Russia. So they would be happy to see war, full-scale war, confrontation between Russia and their main NATO member states, which is US, obviously, right? France and UK maybe, but it's a different league, right? Main force in NATO is US. And I would not be surprised at all if sometime in the future we will find out that behind all these false flag operations were Poland, for example, or some of the Baltic states, other ones, Lithuania, Latvia, Estonia, together with Kiev regime, potentially. Who knows, man? London probably is involved also because, British secret services are always involved in these dodgy operations, by the way. They are more despicable than US. I mean, you may find it difficult to believe that, but British secret services are more despicable than even CIA. It is hard to believe in that. I understand, but historically speaking, oh man, British royal family and their British secret services is the worst of the worst, right? British elites in general, worst of the worst, man. That's what they are. And dear friends, before I continue, let me advertise this project a little bit, which is completely subscriber funded. And if you like my work, if you like my channels, if you think we deserve to exist in this field of news and political commentary, please consider to support with a donation through PayPal and Boosty. By the way, I have PayPal again. My family members created one of my family members created a new account on PayPal, and you can donate through PayPal. Again, link is under this video in the description box and in the pinned comment. Although you can also donate through Boosty platform, and of course you can subscribe to my Patreon page and the Boosty page. for support. All the links on this video in description box and in the pinned comment, including crypto wallet, by the way. So yes, that's the news I should say about this PayPal account in the beginning of the update, isn't it? But I forget about it. So yes, I have a PayPal again. So when you open, if you when you go through that page through a link that is under my video and in description box, you will find out. I call the page LGO network. I didn't know what to call it. Previous page on PayPal was blocked and it had name Levan Gudadze opinion. So to change it so that PayPal would not block it at least straight away, I come up with such a name, Levan LGO network. Anyways, at least for some time that link will work, I guess. So if anybody wants to support through PayPal, there is a possibility for that. So yes, that's been said, let's continue with some more news. And well, TASS news agency is reporting that Pentagon chief vows to strengthen US defense industry deterrence capabilities. New Pentagon chief, obviously. So the new Secretary of Defense, Peter Hegseth, plans to strengthen the American defense industry and their deterrence capabilities, according to a statement released by the US Department of Defense. We will rebuild our military by matching threats to capabilities. This means reviving our defense industrial base, reforming our acquisition process, pausing financial audit, and rapidly fielding emerging technologies. So we will remain the strongest and the most lethal force in the world, he said in the statement. And well, undoubtedly US military is one of the most capable militaries in this world. US Navy probably still is our strongest Navy. US Air Force, probably due to sheer number of planes, probably is also capable force, one of their top dogs, obviously. US ground forces, well, I don't know about ground forces. They have not been engaged in a high intensity conflict since the Vietnam era. So therefore, I don't know about ground forces. But it is their obviously main military force, isn't it? US is a major economical and military power in this world. No one doubts that. And to be honest, I don't think Hegseth will be successful. I don't think he even knows what he wants to do, because when it comes to US military industrial complex, it's robbing US, right? US military industrial complex is robbing US military, is robbing Pentagon by selling these over-engineered weapon systems, right? And then making even more money on services, right? I just spoke about F-35, by the way. So Lockheed Martin will make twice more money by servicing these planes over the next 20 years, per se, than they make by selling these planes, right? That's why US military industrial complex is always keen to over-engineer something, and they are advertising this as if it's the latest technologies and it's a top stuff, right? But it's all scheme, by the way. Over-engineering allows these companies in military industrial complex to make additional billions and billions, tens of billions, right? Just for maintenance, because more technology you put in any weapon system, more chances are that something will break down. It will constantly need maintenance, right? So what Hegseth gonna do? He gonna tell military industrial complex to simplify production, to simplify weapon systems, because in the battlefield, these over-engineered weapons are no any more capable than more simple built stuff. I don't think so, because he will be out of office in the next day. I don't think he is in a position to tell military industrial complex that, you know what, you're no longer gonna receive hundreds of billions from us. It's just not happening, man. So therefore, I expect under their current administration and of US, under the Trump and under the Hexet's leadership in the Pentagon, military spending of US will increase for at least another few hundred billion, and will not just reach trillion, but will be much higher than that. And you tell me how long US can maintain such a level of spendings, by the way. How long US administration will be able to keep sending taxpayers' money to military industrial complex. It's unsustainable in the long run, by the way. US is already paying about trillion every year, right? Just for interest. Due to this 36 trillion debt or whatever number is, right? So I don't know, man. I think it is necessary US to stay strong for world stability, but US to play a positive role to balance, let's say, some some other powers. China, for example. Let's be clear, I don't want China to become dominant force in this world. I really don't want it, right? And I see US as the only potential, only country that has potential to, balance China. At this point, sometime in the future, in 20, 30 years, India can do this, right? But meanwhile, world needs US as but good US, just US, US that will be positive for this world, not an aggressive one, right? That all it does is smashes everything on its way. So I want the US to be strong, successful. It's in interests of the humanity as far as I can see it, but some reforms have to be made, by the way, in US. US has to reform itself big time. And this should be done when Soviet Union collapsed and when Cold War has ended. That was a time when US should reform itself, but it did not. And therefore, now US is facing all these issues, right? That there is a immense military industrial complex that has huge influence on the politics. It constantly wants some more money, and to justify this allocation of billions and billions, wars are provoked constantly, right? Just take a look, by the way. Since the collapse of Soviet Union, US was always engaged in some wars, right? Always. And I'm afraid once Ukrainian crisis will be resolved, this US military industrial complex will use its influence to provoke war in the Middle East, another wars in the Middle East, and maybe even war between mainland China and Taiwan, because they need wars, right? That's how they make money. That's how they justify this immense spending on the Pentagon. So I don't know, man. I don't know. RT, meanwhile, is reporting that Trump to sanction Colombia for refusing to take back illegal migrants. US President Donald Trump has said that he will impose emergency tariffs on Colombia and sanction its officials after Colombian President Gustavo Petro refused to allow American planes carrying deported illegal immigrants to land in the country. And well, one may say that Colombia already caved in. I see some reports that the president of Colombia sent a presidential plane to take back people that were deported from US. Although at the same time, some media outlets are reporting that Colombia actually also planning to impose counter tariffs on US. But yet again, by the way, US, Colombia, it's some different leagues, isn't it? It's obviously Bogota at one point will have no option but to compromise. It's illegal migrants, by the way. US has every right to deport illegal migrants. I mean, can anybody argue with that? It's illegal migrants. So US has every right to deport them to the countries of their origin. I mean, that's how countries operate, and therefore, I mean, if these people are from Colombia, Bogota have to take them, right? Other thing is how these people are treated. In US, for example, leadership of Brazil was very not happy when they saw that these Brazilian illegal migrants were chained. By the way, is that wasn't necessary to chain these people? There were illegal migrants, right? Or if those people were prisoners, I mean, criminals from jails, that's a whole different story. But if these people were just illegal migrants, why you are chaining those people? I mean, they're not gonna run away from a plane, right? They're not gonna jump out of a plane, for God's sake. What the hell? But and Brazil was not happy about it, and well, due to that incident, the relationships between US and Brazil will further deteriorate, I guess. And yes, the US needs to be a little more diplomatic, little more careful, you know. But yet again, I mean, US State Department lost any understanding what diplomacy is, and I'm afraid US political class in general has no idea nowadays what diplomacy is and why they have to be a little more delicate because they are sensitive stuff, right? That they are dealing with the sensitive stuff. But yet again, seems like not that many people cares about it in Washington. TASS news agency also reporting that rebels captured the Goma city in eastern part of Democratic Republic of Congo. So the March 23 movement, or M23 as they also are known, this rebel group has captured the large city of Goma in the east of Democratic Republic of Congo. Reuters reported, citing its leader. According to the news agency, the city of Goma was taken by M23 forces on January 26. The group leader said that the government troops in and around Goma are expected to lay down arms and surrender. So yes, DRC is definitely on a crossroads. And I believe some neighboring countries are involved there. It's a geopolitical crisis, by the way. It's about resources, natural resources mainly. That's the interest that foreign actors have. And it's not just DRC, but some of its neighbors that are also involved on this in this whole hostilities. And I'm afraid it's not gonna end anytime soon, and definitely regional war may even erupt there. TASS news agency is reporting that Lukashenko, by the way, there was presidential elections in Belarus yesterday, and Lukashenko is winning elections by receiving 87.6% of the votes. This is exit polls, right? No surprises, by the way, no surprises. I knew Lukashenko will win, but how many votes he will receive, what percentage, I don't know. And I mean, anything over 50% is a win. So it's a 55 or 85, it changes nothing, right? So Lukashenko will continue to be president of Belarus. This is his seventh term. I'm not sure, by the way, but he is leading Belarus for a long time. After Soviet Union collapse, Belarus had one president, right? I cannot even remember his name now. A long time ago. And then Lukashenko became president, and he is leading Belarus since then. RIA Novosti is reporting that, well, there is there is a big row between diplomatic row between Slovakia and Ukraine, leadership of Slovakia and the Kyiv regime. And Fico, Prime Minister of Slovakia, Roberto Fico, is actually very upset because of the Ukraine's involvement in destabilizing processes in Slovakia. It seems like certain groups, Western ruling class, and some other assets of theirs, including Kyiv regime, is actively involved to organize a coup d'etat in Slovakia. And Slovakia's security services were open about it. Prime Minister of Slovakia is also openly talking about foreign involvement in internal political situation. And well, if everything is clear, then Slovakian security services should act and then should arrest everybody, literally, that is acting on the orders that they receive from outside, right? Because they are prisoners. Everybody in any country, by the way, everybody that acts under orders of foreign power is a prisoner, right? And should be arrested. As simple as that, right? So it is good that Slovakian leadership is acknowledging threats. They know this threat is coming from. It is time to act. Otherwise, most likely, Fico would not be able to maintain his position. Western ruling class and all their other groups that are interested to overthrow his government will not stop, as long as they have some assets inside Slovakia that they can use to destabilize country, right? So yeah, Slovakia is in crossroads, by the way. I spoke about this in previous updates also, and it's not just Slovakia, by the way. I guess Hungary will experience something similar in a relatively short time because of their independent policies of their Orban's government. And this is it for now, dear friends. Hopefully, relatively long update, but hopefully you will find it interesting, informative, useful. And if so, please click that like button, leave some commentary just about anything. This is the only way we can deal with the algorithm. YouTube's algorithm, by the way, for whatever reason, especially did not like my yesterday's first update, and it was crashed. It did not even reach 4,000 views. Maybe this video will do better, so video help. So please click that like button and leave some commentary. If you can share information about my channel with your friends, this is the only way we can reach wide audience, dear friends, because channel is in shadow ban, and my videos either never or very rarely end up in recommendations so that more people would see it to form their opinion about channel. And so yes, if you can, please share information about channel with your friends. And finally, if you like my work, if you want to support, you can do it. All the links are on this video in the description box and in the pinned comment. This is it for now. Have a wonderful day and take care.